1 minute past 2 from the studios of Ajayi on IFM. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's edition of the Roundtable. My name is Major Daniels, and as you know, that the Ondo State Governorship election is coming up on October the 10th this year. In the build-up to the election, we'll continue to engage stakeholders and, of course, the political players before the election. Today on the show, we'll be looking at whether the Ondo State Governorship election is going to be a 3-horse race or is going to be a 2-horse race. 3-horse in the sense that whether it's going to be between Eyitayo Jegede of the PDP, Agboola Ajayi of the ZLP, and of course the incumbent governor Rotimi Akeredolu of the APC, or whether it is going to be between Eyitayo Jegede of the PDP and Akeredolu of the APC. Joining me in the studio this afternoon, I have Mr. Nira Obimbe. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you for having me.
I also have Mr. Tosin Jegede, ICT expert and political commentator. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you very much.
And joining us is a teacher, a lecturer of political science, Mr. Eyitayo. You're welcome on the program.
Good afternoon.
Okay, let me start from Mr. Tosin Jegede. Which of the candidates, the 3 candidates that I've mentioned, Jegede, Akeredolu, and Agboola Ajayi, the deputy governor, which of them would you really say has a good shot at this election?
Well, looking at this from the point of view of somebody who is not actively involved, I think Akeredolu will stand a better chance. Not because he's most popular, but because obviously the opposition has been divided. And you see, those I call opposition, I don't mean a certain political party. I mean a number of people that will likely want to vote against him.
Okay.
They have been divided between the PDP and now the ZLP. So you may have a governor emerge who will not have the majority vote. That's when you sum up the vote of the opposition and his own vote. The vote of opposition may be higher than his own, but because the opposition has been divided into 2 places, you might eventually see him winning the election, and that's the general view. I know that individually, the PDP, the ZLP, they have their own calculation. You see the ZLP believing that the southern part of the state want to have a shot at the governor, and believing that they will have a bulk vote from the southern part of the state. Then you also see that the fact that Agboola has now teamed up with ZLP that has a mini-co that should have 2 local governments from the central.
That's Ondo West and Ondo East.
Ondo West and Ondo East in his control. Now, by the time you add that to what they have in the south...
And those local government really in his control?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they really in his control?
That's what I'm asking.
That's the question.
Okay.
Now, I'm now speaking now like somebody who is in the Agbola's camp.
Okay.
What would be my reason to believe that we'll win is because I believe the South will believe that they are good to go. They want the governor. They would rather vote for a governor than a deputy. So you generally assume that the entire South will go for him. Then the 2 local governments that is assumed to be under the control of Mimiko will also go for him. By the time you sum that together, then a Jegede in the PDP will believe that Akure has a large vote.
Akure North and Akure South.
And Akure South, and they will all come for him. Then by the time he has that, he will just add a little to it. Then Anaketi will also look at from the northern side of the story that if the entire North vote. But invariably, votes really will not go in that direction. You see somebody in the South who will rather not, because there are other factors.
Who prefer to vote so a candidate from other central
districts. Yes. The government, the government in power, the party in power is not divided. They had a primary, and everybody agreed to work together. If they are divided, maybe somebody had got angry and left the party, that would have probably created another scenario entirely. But they are coming together as a united force. I wonder why the Jegede of the PDP did not do everything possible to stop Agboola from leaving the party.
We'll get to that. That's one of my questions. Let me turn to Mr. Adeboale. Do you share the same opinion? That Akeredolu has a better chance than all the other candidates?
He has a better chance, particularly because of his incumbency. Incumbency is a very powerful thing. He has the resources which he can mobilize, and the the sensibilities of our people. It can mobilize resources. But having said that, I also believe that we might not be able to psephologically predict
This election?
until some 2 weeks
To the election.
to the election. And as it were, 3 of them from the 3 senatorial districts.
Agboola from the south, Rotimi from the north,
Yes.
and Jegede from the central.
In all seriousness, each of them will pull some weight from his senatorial district. I can tell you authoritatively that in the south, Agboola already has the Kales.
Okay.
Local government, yes. I am not sure about Ondo yet, but I know he's working on that. In the central, Jegede has Akure, and south.
He has also gone to see Mimiko. Jegede had a meeting with Mimiko.
Yes.
I apologize for that. Please, Mr. Dewale, kindly put it off. Okay, so
the incumbent has power. I may be your say.
what about the 4 Akoko local governments?
Yes, they will have to show themselves up. But like I said, until some 2 weeks to the election, we might not be able to predict.
But when you consider the fact that Akeredolu has notable politicians from that central district, people like Ajayi Borofis, who have now decided to work for with him.
Yes, they will pull their weight. They will pull their weight. But you can't be sure until some 2 weeks to the election. Yes.
Mr. Nero, baby.
Well, for me, I would also want to align with the fact that, as it were today, the indices show that it's likely that the incumbent will be returned. It's almost obvious. It's for me a done deal. Speaking from the background of the fact that, like Mr. Justin Jegede rightly said, the opposition is largely divided. Those who are supposed to be making troubles, who could have swayed the votes otherwise, are already in the camp of Mr. Governor. And that for me is a master stroke for him. He's been lucky. I mean, I would say twice lucky. First time in 2016.
Was it luck or he got his politics right?
I'm sure not exactly politics being right this time. It's not, I don't think it's been politically savvy that brought that luck.
But what if there are people within the party, even at the national level, who are in his corner?
That much I agree.
Because that is not luck.
There may be some political technicians, some technicians who understand politics at the background level, who could have made this happen for him. But for him as a person, I don't see him having to put this off. It's not something that naturally, from his political experience, I don't think he would have done this on his own. So for people like Kekemeke, Jimmy Odemayo, one of the big wigs that contested the primaries against him, if Eyitayo to have stepped down, there were forces that are unseen. There were some unseen forces that brought that to place. And I'm sure that the APC haven't realized that they were losing grasp of national politics. I'm sure they would have done everything possible behind the scene to ensure that Akeredolu does not mess up again here in the forthcoming gubernatorial election. So I'm saying that specifically, it's not because the incumbent deserves the opportunity he has now. He didn't work for it, neither does he deserve it, but I'm sure there are forces that has helped him to have achieved this. So for me, like I said initially, I will also align with the fact that it's very obvious, it's almost likely that Mr. Governor will be returned. But I will also be putting myself in the shoes of someone like Eyitayo Jegede. It's almost been assumed that Akure will vote for Eyitayo Jegede. I want to slightly disagree. In fact, I would say strongly disagree. Akure is a bit cosmopolitan. You have a lot of the Igbo guys around here. You have a lot of us that are non-indigenous here. So you may not likely say that Jegede is going to hold sway in Akure. That's not definite, as it were. And even the Aborigines, the core Akure people, seriously, even by their own understanding, they know that you can't rely on an Akure man. They've always said it. I mean, it's an obvious thing. The Akure people know that when it comes to push, Akure is not likely to push for Jegede. So he can't definitely bank on the fact that he's going to get the mass vote from his central senatorial district. And again, if you look at his chances in the southern senatorial district, is almost next to nothing.
I would say he's picking his deputy from that senatorial district.
His deputy doesn't come across to saw anybody like a political heavyweight. You have the Banjo Kwamos around there, who I'm sure currently, I'm not sure they're working for him. They have 2 PDP senators at the moment. One of them is actually not working for the PDP from obvious facts. He's actually working for ZLP. So, I mean, Agboola is also there contesting. So, for me, I would say that if the votes from the Southern Senatorial District were to be 100%, Jegede should be looking at maximum of 10 to 15% at the highest. That's the highest he could be bidding for within the Southern.
If I hear you correctly, are you saying that Jegede did not get the politics of choosing his deputy right?
Definite. That was what Mr. Jegede did allude to initially. They should have done everything possible within the PDP to have retained Agboola Ajayi. That would have been the break-even point. I mean, that's the point at which you would be saying that, okay, there's a strong force, it's a 2-horse race. But since they lost that, I mean, I don't think that even if he picks Banjo Kwamo as of today, the two of them combined, Jegede and Banjo Kwamo, wouldn't be able to compete favorably against Agboola Ajayi. We all know that Agboola himself as a person knows. I'm not even sure, by the time I get to his own camp, I'm not even sure he's going into these elections for the purposes of winning this election. He only wants to redeem his ego, which has been badly battered by this administration. So for him, he's going to prove his worth that within my senatorial district, I hold ground here. So he would do everything possible. His people are behind him. I don't see any reason why any other candidate will stand a chance against Agboola in the Southern Senatorial District.
Okay, let me ask Mr. Jegede, what do you think, what factor do you think will sway this election in the direction of the PDP or the ZLP?
I think I will give the ZLP better chance even than the PDP.
Than the PDP
now.
So you are saying Agboola could do better?
Like the luck should actually come in favor of Agboola. Just like I will insist that Akeredolu is simply lucky. No matter the politics of the APC that you have played, that is not the reason why Jegede was busy looking at what will happen when he becomes governor, and he was not desperate about securing his ticket.
Yes.
You should see first.
You should think first of getting the seat,
winning the
before
seat,
before thinking of
how to retain
what will happen when he becomes
governor. You need to win an election before you now think of somebody.
So you believe that he was scared of Agboola, considering what happened between Agboola and Mimiko? Maybe that in a way was responsible for not picking Agboola.
Yes, he may be scared, but at that junction, I think his primary concern should have been winning the election. That should have been his primary concern. But he was busy protecting a seat he does not have. Now he lost Agboola. And one thing that is sure is because Ondo State is respect zoning to a large extent. Now, when we look at that zoning arrangement, Mimiko was from the central.
And he had 8 years.
He did two-term 8 years. Now, by virtue of voting, it shifted to the north. Now, somebody from the south would rather have an Aketi coming back to do one more term,
so that they can have their own time.
They can have more. They would rather wait for 4 years than vote for a Jegede and wait for 8 years. So that alone put Jegede at the third option.
So it could come third.
It could, yeah. If all things being equal, I see a Jegede coming third, and I see Aketi coming first, but probably Agboola very close to him. But if Agboola could play his politics properly in Akoko, the 4 local government in Akoko, he could change the game. If he can play his politics, for me, I would have loved to see an Agboola.
How would you advise he does that?
Yeah, if I were this true, I wouldn't have picked my deputy from the central.
Okay.
I would have gone to Akoko to pick a strong man as a deputy governor.
So it does, so that it would only be Aketi from the north.
It would not only be Aketi from the north. Now they have completely left the north for him.
To Aketi. Yes.
To Aketi. I would have gone to the north, to Akoko, and pick a strong man as my deputy, so that at least I could have a fair share of the Akoko votes. You know that you already have a Mimiko in the center who should
who is in his corner.
Who is in his corner and is with you. So why do you need to come and replicate a deputy governor also at the center?
But talking about political weight, does Mimiko still have any?
Well, you see, you cannot.
He lost the central election.
Yes, but you cannot actually.
Can Mimiko be a factor for Agboola?
You can't conveniently write off a two-term governor. And considering that Mimiko has played the Ondo State
but one who could not win the central election?
Yeah, it's possible. There's a likelihood that you could not win the presidential election for some reasons at that time. Some prevailing reasons at that time. But that does not mean you cannot sway vote in the favor of somebody who is contesting. You can't really write him off completely. The deputy governor of Agboola and Mimiko side by side.
Yeah, Bero,
you definitely, Bero is Mimiko.
It's from a federal.
So if you are picking Bero, you're actually picking Mimiko. It's the same camp. So why not leave Bero and concentrate on Mimiko in the center?
And go to Akoko.
And go to Akoko to go and look for more votes to join to one. They might actually say your side. But I believe that if Agboola could work more in Akoko, because an Akoko man does not have anything to lose. They are like the pawn. They are the bride. They don't have anything to lose. If Aketi wins, he comes to the north. If Aketi does not win, they will not have a shot at the position in the next 4 years. So they practically have nothing to lose. They could be anybody's bride. If you offer them what is best for them, and for the governor coming to Akoko, they know they cannot have the SSG as long as Aketi remains the governor. The speaker may not have to come to them. They can't have the speaker. So somebody else could just use something to play around the game and sway the game. Because 4 local government, if you have 2 of that local government, add to like 6 that Agboola may control, that could change the game.
Mr. Theodore, do you agree that Mimiko could be a factor in this election?
Mimiko is definitely a factor.
Okay.
And I see him delivering Ondo.
West and Ondo East.
West, Ondo East, he will deliver. The fact that he lost the senatorial election, notwithstanding, since that loss, I am sure that he has been re-strategizing, and at the moment, he must be on top of the situation. Again, I also see the election that is approaching as an opportunity for Ondo East, Ondo West to come around and identify
with Mimiko,
who is their leader, evidently. And I also believe that it is Agboola will have an edge
over Jegede.
Over Jegede. Most likely will have an edge over Jegede. When we come to the particulars, you discover that Agboola is a grassroots politician, and he has proven himself by the campaign from APC and retaining the office
of the
deputy governor. So he's a real factor, and it's not likely to lose hold of that fact. And again, I also believe that those of them from the south will want to rally around him to ensure that he comes tops, and that he's able to attend to some of their specific demands. And I am sure that he has.
But when you look at the south, you have strong politicians who are from there who are also in Aketi's corner. Mm-hmm. Like you said, some of those who have stepped down, like Eyitayo, these people are their own supporters. And the Aketi's running mate, Lucky Eyitayo, is also from there. Are you saying that these people will not in a way, pull their weight for Aketi?
when it comes to weight pulling, they are no match for Agboola. As far as
in the south,
they are no match. He is a grassroots politician. That's a fact. You can go and confirm. I know that they have their own supporters. They have.
Don't forget that Olusola is also from there. Olusola is also a grassroots politician.
He doesn't
and he is Akeredolu's corner.
Yeah, but if they have, you say the fact that 3 candidates from the 3 senatorial districts actually make a point. Each will have to pull the weight in his own senatorial district. And as far as that is concerned, I am sure that a sympathy will be for Agboola in the south. Sympathy for Akiti in the north. Sympathy for Jegede in the central. That's a fact that we cannot ignore. The other factors that will play out, like when Bill Clinton was contesting, they said more women were likely to vote for Bill Clinton for certain reasons. So such factors will also play up. Maybe more women will vote or would like to vote for Jegede. More women may want to vote for him. Real politicians, grassroots politicians, might prefer Agboola.
Okay, before we talk about the choice of deputy and the impact it's going to have in this election, let's talk about Jegede now. And I'm going to ask Mr. Nero Bibi. There are those who say they like Jegede's mien, that he's cool, he's intelligent, he's calm. Can that work for him in this election?
Let me clearly state that that's an exciting point to have brought up at this point. It's very obvious.
He does not come across as somebody who is controversial.
I'm sure you know that that's the strongest selling point Jegede has. Jegede is not a loud politician. He's not a core conventional politician, but he's someone who came into the political space and was naturally the favorite of the masses. I haven't seen Jegede haven't gone so much on political campaigns and all of that. His politics is more like, it's quite clearly scientific, I would say. Jegede doesn't come across to me as someone who struggles or sweats over popularity. It seems to come to him naturally. That's what I have found out. Even despite the fact that he doesn't have that antecedent of having been in public for a long time. But somehow, just by divine providence, it just seems as if he gets the favor of the public naturally. That has been an amazing thing for me to have discovered. And that is still playing out as we speak. Despite all of the challenges he's having internally within the PDP, because I know for sure, for a fact and for certain, many underground workings are against Jegede himself, even within his party. However, his favor and his chances lies with the sympathy of the masses towards him. His man, his approach is quite urbane, is quite civilized. His approach to issues, he doesn't even counter any one of the contestants negatively. He doesn't come across in public as if he's someone who is going to get into office and become a mad dog. Permit me to use that. But for me, he seems to be just naturally acceptable to the masses. That's something I have found shocking about Eyitayo Jegede. But unfortunately, in the Nigerian political space, such values do not really actually count when it comes to...
When you talk about money. Let me welcome back to Bensi Onikome. You're welcome on the program, and you came late.
I told you I wasn't.
I know. Now, let me turn to Barrister Nikome. I don't know if you've been monitoring the program when you were
following it.
Okay, you were following your car. Now, when you look at these 3 people, Agboola, Ajayi, Eyitayo, Jegede, Rotimi Akeredolu, what do you think? We've spoken extensively about the chances of Akeredolu, but what do you think could work in favor of the other 2 candidates?
Well, I listened very carefully to my colleagues in the studio while I was in the car. I just left the court. What they said, or the things of the postulations they made, can hardly be faulted. Prior to the primary of the PDP, there was the hope that because of certain things people feel about Akeredolu's government, that it may be difficult for him to get a return ticket on the following grounds. One, that the primary of the APC will be full of rancor, and the effect of that particular primary will boomerang, and that as a result,
Many will leave.
Many will leave, and things will fall apart, and definitely the center will not hold.
But that did not happen.
But that did not happen. And that's why when you are planning your game, you plan from all sheets, from all angles. There is a game.
You must have contingency plans.
Of course, yes. There is a game that is played in my area. I don't know the English name, but we call it Igbiri. That is the name. For those who come from the Riverine side, they will know it. You don't stand in one place playing the game. You throw it here. If you do not succeed, you go to the other side and left, right, before you can get at what you want. I think the APC, I must thumb up for them for their ability to manage the aftermath of the primary. Is highly commendable. You know, by my background, I'm trained to be very objective on issues, even when issues are against me, I will admit. And I want to commend that which they did has placed them...
It was a master stroke.
Of course, yes. It's placed them on a higher pedestal. Now, when we look at some other issues, however, you will begin to find that this election, no one can say, I want to coast home victoriously. Nobody can say so. Knowing fully well that from the south, Honorable Ajayi has been able to hold sway. Is coming from the ZLP. And I must admit this for Ajayi. The fact that he defected from APC to PDP, and APC in all its might and glory, with all the strength available at her disposal, cannot remove him as deputy governor. That's great. No, whether you like Agboola Ajayi or you don't like him, for him to do that, it has never happened in the history of this country. Obasanjo tried with Atiku. That's at the presidential level. But at the state governor's level, once a deputy leaves, you throw him overboard overnight. Even where he does not even leave, you can do away with him anyhow.
Does that have more to do with Agboola's politics or Akeredolu's politics?
Whichever one it is, when you find out your opponent is weak, you hit him at where he's hit. It's weak. So the boxer does not wait for the opponent to go and get himself get ready. You push him to angle 90 and then begin to give him uppercut and all man, and then he falls down. So whether Agboola is dexterous or Aketi is weak, whichever one it is, I thump up for the gentleman. He has head out onto it. Nobody can hold him for security reason. You can't say, for example, he's going to vote and you are going to carry security to go and harass him. He has his immunity. Great guy. That is good for him. Now, he came into PDP. And when you marry an old, you have a wife before, and you're just seeing a new one that comes in, and you just discard the old one, and you say, oh, no, this is a new one. I pity you. You may not know why the new one is coming. And he came into the show. Before we could say Jack Robinson, he came second. Beat some big wigs and all that.
In less than 2 months.
By whatever means he did that. By whatever means he did that. Credit to him. You know, Dr. Benson Nkume will always be objective because it pays to speak the truth. And strangely enough, while going away, he picked those ones from APC, brought them to PDP, carried the bagwagon from APC and PDP, and is carrying them to ZLP.
So you're saying he has to support his family in his group?
The point I'm saying that he is rooting from every sources. He has taken from APC. Those who took from APC didn't go back to APC again. Some other person that's carried from PDP, I know some of our colleagues now who are already on the way to Somalia.
ZLP.
So ZLP. So what do you do about such a person? I think this has thrown our politics into a state where nobody can predict
What is likely to happen?
what is likely to happen. And like someone said, I won't know the person that said it, said, if Agboola plays his game well, that particularly if he goes to the north,
To Akoko to
to
pick
the
a
Akoko
deputy.
side, whether he picks his deputy or not, he can promise them whatever it is that's available. You go to Akoko side, what is it that this government has done there that will make them to be proud of this government? Is it road or what? Forget this one that they show us on television on OSRC and they put by Ajayi there. Forget those ones. Those ones are cosmetic that we see at the central here. So when you go into the innermost part, the people know where the shoes are pinching them. Therefore, PDP must be very serious and dexterous in this game if they are not to come if they are not to come from the rear.
Okay, but you were one of those people who were angling for a candidate for the PDP from the south, and Jegede won. Would you say that the PDP was not smart enough in giving its ticket to a candidate from the center?
You know, I do not cry over spilled milk. There's no doubt I was in this studio and so many other stations where I canvassed for the candidate I believed in from Ondo South. But Jegede haven't won being a party member. My loyalty immediately shifted to the candidate of the party. That is the truth. So whatever campaign I was making then would be of no moment. He haven't emerged. But I think it was Brutus who was talking to Cassius in Julius Caesar. I won't be able to quote the phrase fully now. When they were to go to Philippi for the war, he now told him, said, there is a tide in the affairs of man. If you follow it on, it will lead to fortune. But if omitted, that it will lead to misery and woe. I am from the riverside. I know when the tides are high and when the tides are low. And the effect of paddling your canoe against the tide. So if
I get that illustration correctly, you're saying the PDP missed the tide.
Did they only miss it? If the word miss, it's okay, they can likely recover. But the way it is, we are placed in a precarious situation, a very precarious one. I will work for my party, but whether victory will come or not depends on the people. There are a number of things we must do quickly. Unfortunately for us, the man we want to wrestle power from is moving ahead, and you are running. You have a bicycle, and you want to run against a man who has an helicopter that is moving. And see the campaign, see the poster, see everything. The more the people hear, the more that they listen, the more that they will think that there's no alternative. My party must wake up either from dogmatic sleep or from whatever sleep. And we must move as quickly as possible if we're going to make progress. Oh, somebody will say, oh, we don't know whether somebody has given any woman money. They don't like the truth. Me, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Time is still available for us to move if we want to move. But if we put our leg the way we are with Whitlow in our legs, and you want to run a relay race with Ben Johnson, then you will be in a serious challenge. Therefore, we must call a spade a spade. If we do the needful, if the leadership of our party, we do the needful, there is still time to come out. And then we mobilize day and night. You must mobilize the forces.
What do you think could be the turning point for the PDP? That thing that could be the turning point for them in this election?
If I had thought about it before coming to this studio, maybe I would have given an answer. But the answer would be something sitting down and bringing the eggheads to crack their brains very quickly to get a turning point. If we don't,
I believe PDP in this election, I'm not sure PDP has a turn.
No. The point is, if we do the needful now, and if any one of them is by any means hearing me, let's go back like the Catholic cardinals will go into the conclave
yes,
and sit down until the white smoke comes out and call who is who. No winner takes it all. All the people that contested, bring all of them together. We won't sit at a place. What do? There are veteran soldiers within our system. But if not, the way the battle was fought at Philippi and the conspirators left, didn't win. May God help us.
Let me turn to Mr. Tosi Jegede. We'll be talking so much and doing a lot of calculations on the show this afternoon. What is the place of the masses in all of this? We don't seem to be talking about that.
Well, we need.
Do you think the masses are looking at these calculations, or they'll just go ahead and make their point?
We need to.
Or will the politics of money sway their choice?
Yeah, the place of the masses really may actually be the major problem that Agboola need to contend with because of his party. Now, the masses already know PDP, they know APC. The ZLP will be an issue that he has. So if it were a Labour Party that they used to know, maybe it may be easier for him. So he needs to do more about enlightenment. People
He's selling the party.
Yeah, people may like him because he has two things to sell now. He has to sell himself, he also has to sell the party. So somebody may even want to vote for him, but he's not even sure what to press when he gets to the election. Now, on the real, the Nigerian electionary in Nigeria actually do not take into cognizance what the masses think. That's basic truth. It's always about the politician,
the elites, the political elites.
The political elites, also about the hoodlums that makes money during the process, and maybe the media. It's basically not about the people. Because if you want to really talk about the people, we will not be talking about Ondo South, Ondo North, Ondo Central. We should actually be extracting the individual contestants. What have they done before? What are they likely to bring on the table? And you will agree with me that none of us can sincerely say this is the manifesto of any of these aspirants, any of the candidates. So we should actually be talking about their manifestos, which is actually not there. So we are only talking based on sentiments. Somebody is from this place, and the people there may likely vote for him because he's their kinsman, and somebody has picked his deputy from this place, somebody has a godfather from this place. It's all about sentiment. It's not about what is on the table for the masses. And unfortunately, the masses does not even ask the question that
the right question
that what will be on the table for us. The Agboola ZLP, what will you do differently that we have not seen before? Jegede, you are commissioner for so long. What did you do? How did you affect our lives? What do you want to do differently now? Aketi has been in government for 4 years. You are asking us to do another 4 years. The promises you made 4 years ago, how far have you gone with it? Nobody has come now to come out with what Aketi said 4 years ago and what he has done now and asking those questions. So the masses really may not be a serious issue in this matter. And you see, people are hungry.
So you're saying money is going to
play a very
if money is going to be a factor, who has that more?
We know it's obvious. It's obvious that somebody has the key to the vault of the state and he will open it.
I'm sorry.
Let's look at it. Okay.
I'll come in a moment.
Okay.
Yes, money will play a very vital role. When my brother said the various people or the various persons contesting don't have manifestos, usually it should be their party's manifestos that they should bring out. But the question you will ask yourself is this: do the people themselves, do they understand and appreciate the manifestos of the party?
Because for a long time, the people have been neglected, so they don't even know what they are.
What you're saying about whether they are familiar with this manifesto?
Nobody neglected them. During UPN era, we knew the manifesto of UPN. You could count them: free head, free education, and all that. You could mention them at the tip of your fingers. If these ones are not bringing them, what stops us from asking? And then you see, like Esau, a good number of these the people are talking about, they are ready to sell you and sell me. When you go to tell them, don't take money and cook, because if you cook with that money, you will cook the future of your children. Because that is the side. Like Esau, we need to sell their birthright. Therefore, I want to enjoy, the press will play a major role in shaping the minds of the people. And I think this discourse is one of those things. Please find out, what did Akeredolu promise us in 2016? Those he has fulfilled, let them take it. If it's our education that has increased the school fees that he promised us, let's take it. If it's the health care that he promised us that health care will be free and has made it free, let's take it. If he has not done so, let's tell him, whatever you may have, whatever the noise, we are not bringing you back. Therefore, the populace must need be educated. But again, it costs. Your station cannot be running this ex gratia. Some persons must need come to aid in this respect. We don't have those persons within our system, within our client. So I believe essentially money will play a role, a good role. The government has the money, but again, the people of this state, once they are educated, once they are sensitized, they know what to do. They can vote in a government, they can vote out a government. The people of Ondo State have that history for themselves. And so we must open up the space for them. We must engage them and tell them what should be done. So they should ask questions. And this is why I'm going to advocate. Any of the contestants that runs away from debate during this next election, I beg of you people, such a party should be voted out. The debate are going to have, though it's not constitutionally provided, but again, it is also the people mandatorily induced. So if you don't come for debate to ask you questions, and you run away, it shall be our resolution, we shall not vote for you. That is not the day to go and campaign. So let them ask them questions, let them provide answers. We'll tell you, what did you do? What have you done? What are you going to do? We must know it. Governor Mimiko, Chief Olusolake, and the present governor, Akeredolu, had a debate in 2012.
Yes.
That swayed a lot of persons. We knew so much. And therefore, let nobody run away. Whoever runs away, let run for the best.
Okay, because of that, let me turn to Mr. Nero maybe. If the people were to make their choice based on performance, do you think Akeredolu would have a shot in this election?
Let me say very categorically, loudly, and I will sound this clearly. That would be the turning point if that actually was the measuring yardstick. If I were to rate or score this current government, I would say the best I could be generous with is probably 4/10. Even that is at the height of my generosity.
You think he has not done well?
The government has not done well. It's not to say that they haven't done nothing, but in the critical areas, the critical sectors that affect the life of the average and the common man, the government has underperformed.
You're saying they have not made enough interventions?
Not enough. Agriculture is there, education is there, healthcare is there. Those are the ones that have direct impact on the lives of the average Nigerian, on the life of the average citizen of Ondo State. And probably, please let me come up, but let me address also this point of the fact that the masses have been shortchanged. And I wouldn't blame the people. I wouldn't want to castigate our citizens for where we have found ourselves. It is quite unfortunate that in all of this, it is the common man that gets the short end of the stick, and it is by no fault of theirs. It is the oligarchy that we call the politicians, the elitist politicians, that destroyed the system. We realized that in those days, the masses were sensitized towards the party manifestos. They knew exactly what they were voting for. But along the line, during the military intervention and even beyond, those who came after to say they were civilian politicians also went ahead to further erode all those values and sensibilities of the fact that people should look at what the candidate can do. As we all speak, we are all educated elites sitting in this studio. We should be blaming ourselves, because we won't be blaming the tomato seller or the pepper seller in the market for not being enlightened enough to know what is right. Those ones do not know what a manifesto looks like. So it's our own responsibility as enlightened elites, non-political, non-partisan elites, dispassionate, to look for a way to bring a thought force, the real thought force, where the political power actually lies, is with the people. 70% of the actual voters, the electors, the real electors that are going to go out on the voting day, will be those who do not know, they don't have the understanding, the
implications of their choice.
Exactly, and it is our own fault. We have the privilege of being a better educated. We should find a way to form a platform. We should find a way to come together and get this education done. As we speak, the greatest culprit in all of this election going ahead is INEC. As we speak today, INEC has not come up with any sensitization program over all of the media stations we have in Ondo State. INEC is not talking. Vote buying is not an issue that INEC is addressing. I mean, one wonders, then who is taking up all these institutional bodies? Who are supposed to be responsible?
Political parties also have that responsibility as well.
Of course, we know that they want to play that to their own advantage. They won't.
In the actual sense, I find it difficult when people blame the citizen for collecting money to vote.
It's sad.
It's sad. You can't blame them. You make the people poor. You now blame them for taking money from you to solve their problem. Now, let's take a practical example. Let's have a family. There are 4 kids, the mother and the father. The father works as a gardener at the local government. The mother is a roast corn by the street. Now, and there are 4 graduates who are jobless. On election day, you now give a scenario. They say somebody is paying 5,000 per vote. If they all go out, they will come back home with 5,000 times 6.
That's 30K.
That's 30,000 naira. Now, do you think a family in that circumstance they want to survive till tomorrow? They are not. You are talking about the future. It's somebody that is not there.
You know, I take a divergent view. You see, we can't play this scenario this way. I give my own personal life experience. I lost my father when I was barely 8. Just a moment. That's 1970.
1970.
Just a moment. My father that lost his father. Just a moment. Just a moment. The world has not changed. The grass has not changed. The trees have not changed. The people have. The people. The
economy has changed.
What is the government responsible for increasing the school fees from 30,000 to 200,000?
Now the government has increased the school fees.
You see, we say somebody goes to commit crime. Let's talk about rape. Oh, the woman dressed carelessly.
That's
just a moment. Because of her careless dressing, the guy was attracted and went ahead to rape. Collecting money. Before that election came, what were they eating? The election of that day, which is going to be on the 10th of October. After 10th of October, we then spend the 30,000 naira for A. So the point is this. Let's not, please, they will still leave. They will still leave. The point I'm making therefore is this. Why it is true, government has impoverished these people, subsequent previous administration and all that have impoverished the people. Let's again tell the people, there is dignity in human life. In they say, there is dignity. We can go to farm. I was trained by my mother through selling of fish. So the fishes have not all died in the ocean. The what do you call it? How to make gari? The garrison have not finished in the forest. For goodness sake, let's not justify what is not justifiable. I agree. These greedy, selfish individuals, we induce them. But let's hold our dignity and tell them, no, enough is enough.
Okay, let me turn to Mr. Theo Adeboale. Do you think that Agboola defected from the APC and then from the to the PDP and then from the PDP to the ZLP will likely, because there are some who say jumping from one party to another is likely to affect his chances?
No, he's looking for the ticket, and he eventually got the ticket.
But what does that say about his politics, going from APC to PDP and then to ZLP?
We have already answered the question. Political parties without ideology. This morning you wake up, you are in APC.
Before you go to bed,
you go to PDP. There is nothing strange about it. But there is one point that I want to make. When Jegede was talking to the press, he told Ondo State people that he had conquered greed.
I heard that. That was
and
massive.
That he has character.
Massive.
I think we should be able to go to town
And say that.
Tell the people,
Excellent.
the person selling himself, how much of greed has he conquered? What type of character does he have? If we are able to start from there, it's going to help us. Because people who lack character, people who are too greedy, must be excluded from the political space that we are about to enter. That's something that we should go to town and tell the people. If you are coming to be my governor, you are not my master. I am employing you. And that's one thing that should be made clear to the voters. When I vote you to be governor, I didn't appoint you.
Will you not agree that that has more to do with the African culture, the monarchical system of government, where the cabbage was Ikuba Bayeye, Alashe Keji Orisha? Don't you think people who still see political leaders in that light?
We have a responsibility to let the people know. The reason I have a war for war is that he is the monarch. It does not double with any other person as monarch. Monarch is monarch. They say Oba doesn't go on transfer. Okay? And Oba is for life. The governor is somebody I want to employ. So if our people start with this mentality, they will be able to ask, how much of character do you have? They will be able to find out if you are actually greedy or not. There are other things that they will ask. From that perspective, that people will now be able to assert themselves. An opportunity that comes once in 4 years must not be misused. So we might have to interrogate you. Barrister Elikume said at that time, whoever fails to show up at the debate should be excluded.
In fact, may I add?
Yes.
Let's not wait for 2 days before the election.
Yes.
I put a challenge to Adaba.
Yes.
In the next 2 weeks or thereabout, call these gladiators, let them come here.
Yes.
In the next 2 weeks, invite them, announce it continuously. We invite Rotimi Akeredolu for such day, Eyitayo Jegede SAM for such and such a day, Agboola, Ajayi, and any other what we call a political party that may be available. All of you come, we are inviting 4 of you. Let them not come. So when they come, whoever comes, the people will begin to assess it, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak.
Yes.
So we begin to hear them. From the, so let's not wait for 2 days when we don't have any option.
My question.
Because of our
okay. At this point, we all here agree unanimously that sensitization is lacking.
Yeah.
We understand exactly how to correct the malaise in our political space.
Yeah.
But who picks the bill for all of this we are speaking about? If I were to organize a debate as we speak, they are going to charge money. If we want to start sensitizing the members of the public, especially the downtrodden masses, we want to start sensitization. Who picks the bills?
Let's talk that one behind the scenes.
Who is picking this bill? Next Monday, invite them.
We don't have enough time. Okay, let's conclude this. So, Mr. Nero, baby, I'm going to ask you now, yes or no? Is this a 2-horse race or a 3-horse race?
Obviously, for all of us in this studio, we agree it's a 3-horse race. And we would even say that the last is looking like becoming the second as we speak today. We already know who we are giving the first. The second position is dicey. The last could be the second, and probably the prominent second, the one who we thought could be second, might actually fall last. That's what we have all seen.
The horses are running, but whether they see or not is a different question. The horses are running.
And my parting word to the citizen of Ondo State is, if they bring money on election day, collect it, but vote your conscience.
Absolutely.
Collect their money, but vote your conscience.
Mr. Tiwadewale.
Then there's something I want. A friend of mine, neighbor, told me that politicians, they don't even target the first position. He wants to come second so that he can go to court. When he goes to court, he will poo-poo that victory that we already have. But like we have said, it's a 3-horse game. And the winner,
That is Jegede, Akeredolu, and Agboola.
yes, the winner is somebody who will sit down and do the real politicking. And we wish them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nero, baby. Barrister Benson Enigome, thank you very much. Mr. Tosi Jegede, thank you very much. And Mr. Tiwadewale, thank you very much for coming. My name is Major Danes, and this is where we're calling today on today's edition of the Roundtable. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for having us. God bless you.
Politics is a good thing, but with the attendant intricacies and the many sound bites, it gets confusing. At Adaba 88.9 FM, it is our job to sift through the noise, helping you make sense of it all. This is why we welcome you to our world, where we help make politicians accountable to you.